everybody that tomorrow is another TL Open that you can play in. It's a U.S. qualifier. So go sign up, play in the games, and do your very best to earn those points and take a shot at winning the whole thing so that you can qualify for the TSL4. We'll have the broadcast brought to you again. I'll be in again tomorrow. I'll be casting with DJ Wheat. And I think we start at about 3 p.m., 3:30, 4 p.m. I don't know. 4 p.m. I think is the standard start time.
Yeah, 4 p.m. EST. But it's normally sometime around there. So it's
yep, 4:30 Eastern is the official start time per hotbid. So Hasu once again going to show us a low ground pylon, Andre, as I think he will go with the Forge Expand this time. Hasu, of course, the red Protoss down in the bottom right, and Liquid.Ret top left. Blue Zerg leading 2-0 in this best of 5.
Yeah, you know, a little bit tough for HasuObs at this point, being down 0-2. I was not expecting that, but the first 2 games we haven't had standard builds. I don't know if HasuObs is just trying to change it up on Ret. I really feel like his control at that endgame stage is superb. It can just go into that, but so far, I mean, he's been showing a very different style than we're used to. The standard HasuObs that likes to go to, you know, Mothership before actually showing the first unit.
Well, I mean, the other problem with that is that, I mean, a guy like Ret, he's not afraid to play against that. Like, he'll go up to 4 bases, and he'll play that Broodlord Infester, and it's very frustrating to play against. When you're playing against somebody with really strong late-game army control, I can definitely understand Hasu's reservations with going late-game against Ret. So, could be a little bit of the reasoning behind what's happening. Look at Ret going, was that a hatch first? I think it was.
Yes, it was.
15 hatch, 15 spawning pool. And HasuObs doesn't send out the early scout, goes Forge before Nexus, so Ret's going to take the early build order advantage. Not a big one, but it's an advantage nonetheless.
A little bit interesting, going Forge before Nexus. If you're not going to scout, I guess he's just going to say, I'm going to play it super safe. But I would actually be in a position like, okay, well, if I'm not going to scout, I'm going to go ahead and just take the Nexus first and just, you know, cross my fingers for it. But I really feel like the early scout should have been going up here, knowing it's Ret as well, but it's absolutely standard play. And I think, you know, Ret does take an advantage going hatchery first, in my opinion, over HasuObs Forge Nexus.
Yeah, oh, of course he does. He'll have be able to get that double queen out, and with the double queen you get massive larva production. I try to hatch first against Protoss whenever I can these days. I feel like it's really strong. And especially when Protoss opens Forge and doesn't do something like try to cannon you, it puts you in a really good position.
Yeah, just the power of getting that second queen out super early is just so powerful, and your queen mechanics really start kicking in. Your drone count becomes phenomenally larger than your opponent. You can squeeze out like 4, 5, or 6 more drones depending on what your opponent does, which is substantial in the early game stage. I mean, if you're at 30 drones, that's a good 20% of your economy. That's a lot.
I love how efficient Ret's early game build is here. I mean, just little things always impress me. Like when I play ZVP and I go to build my 3rd hatchery, I often find myself asking myself, should I make an Overlord first or should I build the hatchery first? And the correct answer is get that hatch down so it can finish faster, so you can continue droning and then start the Overlord a little bit later. And that's what Ret did there. But it's just little bitty things like that, little small decisions that are a little more efficient than if you were to do it the other way around. That's really what creates big separation at the very highest level, and Ret making all the right moves here. Hasu going to go Stargate on Ohana. Very interesting.
Now, Stargate, we haven't really seen that too much on this map, but there is a little bit of potential. At the 3rd base, you can see the Destructible Rocks directly below is a place where Void Rays can obviously charge up quite substantially. And obviously there can be continued pressure. The big problem is that it's a big open area, so if you want gateway support, any sort of gateway Void Ray all-ins, it's actually a lot weaker because you don't have the sentry count that you're usually used to having. Whereas on other maps, gosh, now I'm thinking of only Terminus, but on a map like Terminus, you can obviously just hug a side and be really efficient going across the map with your gateway unit. So at this position, I feel like the Void Rays, they have potential, but I think 70% of the time, Ret should be able to hold this off very easily.
Well, there is one more thing about this map that makes the Void Ray opening very good, and that is the really substantial ground distance between the natural and the third base. And Red is just barely going to miss scouting this Stargate, turns the Overlord, and doesn't see that that corner of the main base where the Stargate is building. It takes queens a long time to walk from the natural to the third, so there's only the single queen there, Andre, and if that queen dies, then reinforcing queens are going to get stuck off creep, or they're going to be really late getting there. So the hatch could take some substantial damage, and Hasu, we can see he's just going to go right in. And will he charge up on the rocks, or will he go straight for the queen?
He's going straight for the queen, it looks like. This third base just has so many drones down here. Now, an evolution chamber is just about 33% of the way done, but it'll be still a lot of time. Drones will go down if Ret continues to be here. And still no additional queens being sent over. Oh, excuse me, one.
Yeah,
but another Void Ray on the way.
Immediately, very fast. Spore Crawler also starting right up. So Hasu kills a queen and a drone, but that's all that he's been able to kill so far.
Yeah, now that Spore Crawler's going down and queens probably will be remade, I feel like HasuObs won't be able to get a lot done with these two Void Rays.
I know this build that Red's doing. This is something we saw Elfie do. I think at Intel Extreme Masters China. Yeah, it was in China where Elfie was able to beat some really good Zerg players doing this. Stargate opening into a gateway warp prism all in. It's a deceptive build because you're thinking one thing and the next thing you know you've got a lot of gateway units being warped in your main base. It's really hard. Red's going to try to play Spire against this, and it is dangerous to play Spire against this. If he can catch the Warp Prism, then he's in great shape, clearly. But if he doesn't, and he's got 6, 7 gates warping in his main, in this case it's going to be 8 gates warping in up in his main, it's going to be very hard to muster enough units to effectively deal with that.
That's precisely right. I mean, the timings are so tiny right now. The Spire is almost finished, so he still needs a couple of seconds before the mutas come out. And look at this, the Warp Prism is actually going to pass by a surgeon in the bottom left-hand position. If Ret was super diligent with this, he would have seen it, but it's really hard to catch those as the Void Rays are actually going into your face.
Oh, I think Ret's going to be fine, Andre. There's 11 mutas coming. Yeah. Hasu's trying to micro very well. 12 mutas on the way, but they're going to be popping out shortly. And Hasu has to know, given what he's seen, that he's playing against Muta, and he has to know that the only chance is to pull back. But I don't think he's going to. He's building an Immortal that Warp Prism is still dancing around, waiting for an opportunity. And here are the Mutas, and oh god, abort mission, abort mission!
And the Void Rays will go down. That gives a lot of the power away. Zergling's going to run in here. Look at that, the Cancel has to go down. The Warp Prism is almost certainly dead, and there it goes over the ridge, but no way that'll stay alive. These sentries will almost certainly go down as well. Ret just taking a monstrous advantage, and again the 2-base play by HasuObs will be stopped. So Ret just going to come in here, probably look to close out the game, as he's just monstrously ahead here in game number 3, looking to take it 3-0.
He's in a great position. Hasu's going to try to recover. But how is even possible? Ret's got a massive lead. He's going to pick off the pylon. That's going to shut down Phoenix production for a little while. And Ret can do anything that he wants to do at this point, Andre. He should take 2 more bases and probably make 20 more drones. And look, that's exactly what he's doing. 2 more hatcheries going up. And he's got all the map control. Hasu can't leave his base. He's got no choice but to try and make either a ton of Blink Stalkers, which there's not even a Twilight Council, so that's forever away, or try to Chrono Boost out as many Phoenixes as he can. I mean, this is almost an unlosable position for Ret.
Exactly. I mean, there's no good progression for HasuObs either. What does he get? Gateway units and Phoenixes? That's a lot of gas investment just to counter the Phoenix, or excuse me, just to counter the mutas. If Zerg gets Corruptors, they get instantly just shut down. There's no Colossus tech, there's no High Templar tech, there's really no good way to actually deal with everything and everything. And look at this, Ret's gonna take a bottom left expansion.
Yos, come on now. That's a little salty.
He is salty, man.
Taking the expand right there, showing off a little bit for the fans at home. I'm waiting for the day that somebody types or spells out like LOL in Banelings and then like rolls in. In the shape of LOL.
That would be beautiful. You should do it, Ben.
Yeah, I'm not on that level, Andre.
You could be though.
I would
I know
spell
you
out
could.
L, and then I would be attacked, and I would die.
Alright, well, Muta's moving in here, taking out the cannon, almost certainly. The Phoenixes will chase a little bit, but still, the Muta count is enough to just steamroll those Phoenixes if they ever get into a confrontation. And look how many Zerglings are in queue. 50 were in queue at that point. He's going to make a ton of Banelings and just go for a gigantic Baneling hit.
Hasu says, "Get out of my third base. This is my base. You can't have it." Ret should cancel that and build an Evo chamber there. He's just gonna let the hatch finish. He doesn't care. He is morphing a ton of Banelings, as you said, Andre. 39 Banelings, and as soon as the main army leaves, Ret flies right in with the Mutas. This is why Mutas are so annoying to play against. And Phoenixes, while they're good against Mutas, it's difficult. You have to micro very carefully because of that splashing glaive attack.
Yeah, and look how many Banelings there exists. They're all rolling now, so they have the upgrade. And just as you said, he took, well, 3 bases. The bottom left-hand position has been taken, but Ret has 10,000 ways to actually enter with this fight. And he's going to do it with very limited sentries. Here we go, Ben.
Here we go indeed. Baneling is just going to crash right into everything, coming in from every possible angle. It's painful to watch if you're a Protoss player, but it's music to my Zerg ears as the Banelings just crush right through. Ret's gonna take out HasuObs 3-0 convincingly. Wow. Good games. Congratulations, says Hasu. Ret takes it and will qualify for the TSL4, so that's very exciting news.